That much. All right, so let me show you what's going on with the radar. There's a lot happening out there today to talk about. Right now, we've got that changeover happening, going from rain to freezing rain and or sleet, and then over to snow. And it's happening up here through central Indiana, including Indianapolis. I'm going to zoom in there first and show you what's going on across the metro area. Eastern side of town, we've changed over to freezing rain. We're in that transition zone right now, getting into a wintry mix with sleet. The changeover to snow will come in the next couple of hours. Paducah, we're almost all over to snow, though I bet there's some sleet still mixing in for you right now. We go down to Memphis, where it is mainly sleet with some freezing rain mixed in. I just checked your observation. Sleet being reported at the airport here. Nashville, the front just came through. I just saw the wind shift happen at the airport, meaning that the wind has changed direction from south to northwest. And so we are going to start to get the cold air coming in. So get ready in the next couple of hours. You will get a changeover from rain to the freezing rain. So winter weather advisory for Nashville, winter storm warnings off to the west in West Tennessee, up through Kentucky, winter storm warnings up through western New York, western Pennsylvania, where right now we just have a ton of rain going on in places like Pittsburgh. But let's go back down to Nashville. We'll get to Pittsburgh in a minute. I want to talk about your timing. We are in rain right now. Temperatures are in the 40s through the morning rush. Wait for a change. It's going to be at the tail end. So a lot of schools are out in Davidson County. I think that's fantastic news, because by lunchtime we have freezing rain or sleet taking over the area. By the afternoon it is snow, and by this point temperatures are dropping dramatically below freezing, and that flash freeze situation is taking place here. The precip ends overnight, but we just have the cold in place, and that's going to keep things from melting. So now through tonight, we're getting the precip. It's about a 1 to 3 inch snow that we get after the freezing rain, and that's going to be on the order of a tenth to a quarter of an inch. A quarter inch of ice starts to run into power outage range, so be ready for that. Temperatures will be falling into the 20s. Real quick, let me show you Cincinnati, because we too are watching and waiting for this changeover in rain for the morning, but then getting into the wintry precip by afternoon. The evening rush is going to be icy as the cold air comes smashing into you here into Pittsburgh, and talk about the rain. We are watching that rain heavy at times all the way through tomorrow, and then we see that changeover come in later tonight into tomorrow. Temperatures falling to the 20s. We could get ice, a tenth of an inch to a quarter of an inch, and then 5 to 8 inches of snow on top of that. What a mess we have out here in western Pennsylvania. The rain is so heavy, it is causing flooding. There's a flood advisory I saw in the Pittsburgh area. Flood warnings are certainly going to be a possibility. I've seen flooding reports already from Pittsburgh and Washington County, also down into West Virginia. This heaviest of the rain is now moved up into northern Pennsylvania and western New York. Here's our surface low on the move today, and out ahead of it, we still have a lot of warm air and a lot of moisture coming in. So where it rains, it is going to be heavy. Not that it's going to rain, heavy rain every moment of all day today, but certainly that possibility is there, coming on top of the snowpack that we have. Now, the warmth this week actually has done us well, because at least it's whittled away a decent amount of the snowpack, but we still have that concern for rain coming into the snow and just making everything slushy and clogging up storm drains, and that could cause flood concerns. That's today. Then tonight we bring in the cold air. Here's Pittsburgh. Now is the time frame for you to change over. Buffalo will do the same thing tonight. We stay all rain through today and tonight in places like New York City, and really most of tomorrow as well. I think for places like New York, maybe not as much Boston, but certainly New York City, all the precip moves out before the cold air moves in. Now, in terms of rain, for Boston, this is the rainfall forecast, 1 to 2 inches. That's not your snow. That's the rain that is still going to come from Winter Storm Hunter before the cold air comes in and we get the snowfall, especially across central and western parts of the Northeast. All right, let's go coast to coast right now with your Friday morning weather headlines and a band of strong off as we get through the weekend. All right, so I skipped through a couple maps, but let's just fast forward here into Saturday and show you what's happening as we look ahead to that forecast. Watching for this weekend to be a lot colder for a lot of you. Miami's an exception. That's a great place to be if you want warm. Temperature's going to be in the 70s, but we've got the chill all the way down into the southern plains. New Orleans, we're starting to gear up for Mardi Gras, and there we are going to be watching for temperatures to start dropping. Atlanta, temperatures only in the 30s for highs after the 60s that you've had this week. Of course, in the Northeast, we're also going to be watching for temperatures to start cooling down. It really comes in full force by Sunday. Everyone gets to feel it. That's your high temperature in New York City, only 27 degrees. All right, if you the freezing mark, in fact, we're dropping into the 20s as we speak. So here's a look at the ice potential, and I want to start with this because this is going to be one, I think, of all the weather. We're having a lot today. This is going to be very impactful for drivers. There could be power outages. Already saw in western Kentucky Kentucky, some power outages happening because of sleet accumulation, but freezing rain is even worse, right? Just, it sticks to the branches, to the power lines, makes them sag down, and more than a quarter of an inch will certainly cause some more widespread problems. Right now on the radar, here's a look what's happening. We've got that changeover going on across Indiana, western Kentucky, western Tennessee. Zooming first into Indianapolis, you can see how it's the eastern side of town dealing with the freezing rain. Our temperatures have dropped, the front's through, the air is in the 20s. Now we're getting some sleet mixing in. Snow is to come, and that's where we'll find Jim Cantori, so we'll get more from him. Reynolds is in Paducah, where we're going to find a mix of snow and sleet happening right now. It's mainly been sleet, and we've had more than a tenth of an inch. I think it's 0.15 in Paducah so far this morning of sleet. It's tough to shovel too because it's heavy. Memphis, mainly sleet for you so far. The snow is going to be coming in. There is going to be a small quarter of freezing rain as well. And in places like Nashville, that's what we're watching for and waiting for. The front is through. The cold air is going to start coming in. We're still warm enough that it's all rain right now. Our roads are just wet in the Nashville area for now. But as this front comes in, watch for the air to get cold, that flash freeze situation. This is 11 a.m. and I think by lunchtime travel is going to be very difficult across the area. A lot of schools are closed, and rightfully so, because conditions this afternoon will be completely different than they are right now as you look outside. Icy first and then snowy later, and by 5 o'clock could be a couple of inches of snow coming down here in the Nashville area. Forecast for Nashville, again, it's now through tonight is when stuff will be falling. Snow will be 1 to 3. The ice accumulation, a tenth to a quarter of an inch. Again, when we get to quarter of an inch, now we're start worrying about power outages, and then temperatures will be falling down into the 20s. I jumped ahead to my next graphic, but at any rate, let's just quickly look at this forecast through the south and east, as we've got a lot of rain out ahead of it, but then the snow and ice behind it. We will be watching for some of this to be heavy at times. In all of it. The rain will be heavy. Some of the ice will be falling heavily as well. And certainly that cold air is on the move as well behind it. Look at Memphis already now dropping to 31. So we're below freezing. So all that sleet that you saw coming down there, that's going to be sticking, and that's going to be an issue as well. Lake Charles, our temperatures have dropped. Dallas, our temperatures have dropped. The cold air has first made its way into the plains, and it's on the move. We're going to see it eventually head over into the south and east as we get you into the next 24 hours. All right, so watching a lot of changes for today. Now, roads are not yet record high temperatures today across the north and east. That's going to be a concern for us if you don't like the warmth, but also the snow melt, the rain coming in. There's all kinds of flood issues up here into the north and east. Temperatures in the 60s in Atlanta. Behind the front, of course, we're going to be watching for the cold and that changeover from rain to freezing rain to sleet to snow. By Saturday, a lot of the precip is pulling up into the north and east, but of course the cold takes over is the big story by this point, all the way down to the south. You'll feel it by Sunday. Even Miami, we are not going to make it into the 70s on Sunday. I'll be right back in a moment with your full winter weather. Wilmington area is what I wanted to model and show you what the atmosphere would be like. So we've got the Empire State Building on here just to give you perspective for height. We need to look at all levels of the atmosphere. First, let me just bring your eyes down to the ground, which is we've got rain, because the surface temperature in Wilmington, Ohio right now is in the 40s. An hour ago, we were in the mid 50s. Now you have to go all the way up beyond 10,000 feet to find the freezing level right now over a good chunk of the area, including around Ohio, but also down into Tennessee. I was looking at Nashville. It is so high up there in the sky where that snow is actually starting that it melts. It has so much time to melt, as this is happening right here and right now in Wilmington, that it's mainly rain all the way down to the ground. Now, where Jim is and where Reynolds is, there's enough cold air at the upper levels that we are changing over to some sleet, and there's cold enough air at the surface, of course, that it's falling either as freezing rain or freezing drizzle. But it all matters as to what's happening sort of as in these mid-levels. So Reynolds, for example, he is getting the sleet, but Jim has had the freezing drizzle and the freezing rain because while it's cold, aloft, it's still warm enough at, 2,000 or 3,000 feet up in the atmosphere that we are getting some melting before it refreezes down at the surface. So. Well, it's time to go. So the wind is no joke either. But I want to talk about what's happening on the roadway. So temperatures are dropping. We are at 32 now in Louisville. So now we are dealing with the freezing rain. If you're traveling down I-65, there's a lot of frozen stuff in Kentucky. I-65 is going to be a sloppy ride as temperatures are now down below the freezing mark there, and actually all the way down to Tennessee, because I just saw the temperatures drop off in Nashville to 32 degrees with freezing rain reported as well. Louisville, here is a closer look at what's happening and what's going on with the road temperatures through the area. So this is a key number to watch as well. Even though the air temperature has dropped to 32 degrees, the road temperatures are still warm, but those are also going to follow suit. And of course, bridges and overpasses first with the ones to get icy. So be wary as you travel here this morning. Steph.